Hello? What a turnout. This is great. Thanks for joining us. All right. So thanks for being here. And we're going to be covering over implementing Clio's latest features. So we hope with our time together that you learn at least one new workflow that you could incorporate into how you work when you get back into the office. My name's Devin. I'm a product design manager here at Clio. And so it's my team's job to understand how you love to work so that we can design and build features that best work for you. And so I'm joined by some of my amazing colleagues who've been hard at work bringing these features to life over this past year. And so I'm going to introduce all of them and the topics that they're going to be covering. So let's get started. So some of you may know we have just recently released Clio's very own payments product. And so we're going to start with Tristan, who will kick us off today, who will be covering some of the enhancements that we've made to payments in this past year. Betty will be talking about a new and improved Outlook add-in for Outlook. And then Ani will join and he'll start talking about a brand new text messaging feature in Clio Manage. Adrian will be talking about how to do three-way trust accounting. And then Sai will join us and he'll go through some of the enhancements that we've done to the intake process with Clio Grow. And then finally, Taylor will finish off our time together covering some of the reporting enhancements that we've done that will help you save time and earn more revenue. So we have lots to cover. So I'll get out of the way and I'll invite Tristan to the stage.
All right. Thanks, Devin. Hi, everybody. My name is Tristan, and I'm a relatively new product manager here at Clio. And I'm coming to the team with about a decade of experience working on things like online banking, and most of that in payments. And through that time prior to Clio, I certainly helped a lot of businesses get set up to take payments for the first time online. So today, I'm really looking forward to taking you through what we've been working on in the realm of payments and how you might actually take advantage of your Clio setup and optimize towards these features. So before we jump straight into that, though, I'd like to acknowledge the success that we've seen with Clio payments so far. And it was actually this time last year that Clio introduced its own payment system. And since then, I hope that you can agree you've experienced a more seamless payment solution. You've got more configuration options available than you did before. And this is all provided with simple and transparent pricing. So I look to the metrics of usage of the product as confirmation, and we can now say that we've helped you get paid hundreds of thousands of times since we first launched. So I think it's an incredible start, but the truth is that we are just getting started. And today I want to introduce 3 new features. And so all of these features are based on your direct feedback, and they're aimed at making the product better than ever. So first we'll touch on request and storing credit card details and bank details for future use. Then we'll talk a little bit about how QR codes can help you transition to an in-person payment experience. And then we'll touch on a new feature for monthly fee collection, which we've launched just in September. And that gives you new flexibility in how you pay your payment processing fees. So if you have been collecting, or if you've been maybe taking credit card numbers down over the phone and maybe you're writing them down on a sticky note, this is a feature for you. So the goal with request and save payment methods, it allows your client to enter their credit card number and e-check details directly with Clio. And then Clio takes on the responsibility of storing these in a compliant way, and that helps you reduce some of the complexity in running your firm. So you're not having to deal with PCI compliance as well as running the day-to-day business of your firm. So we typically see people take advantage of this feature during client intake. And the thought here is that when you're dealing with getting to know a new client and you're writing down a lot of information about them, sharing a lot of information, that an additional step here to collect a credit card number is something that's going to go a long way to helping you reduce your admin effort when you reach the collections phase of the flow. So let's take a quick look at how this works. So from the Matter dashboard, which I'm sure you recognize, you click into Manage Your Payment Methods and then Request. So from here, you've got a link that you can copy and you can paste this into email, text, or PDFs. And then you're directing your clients to pay. And you might say, well, I have a larger firm and I'm not sure that I can do this in a consistent way. And so to that, I would say you might look at taking advantage of task lists maybe around client intake, and you've got a task in there that confirms that you're actually collecting a payment as you go through this phase. So once your client receives the link, this is what the form looks like. So it's a familiar looking checkout page. And here they're entering their choice of credit card or e-check, a little bit of information about themselves, and they're confirming it. And importantly, this is where they're granting you authorization to use this payment method in the future. So that can be the current matter that you're onboarding for, but it could be a future matter, and you can also convert it for use with a payment plan later down the line. So that brings me to QR codes. And QR codes is really about extending the reach of Clio payments from an online solution to then also supporting you in person. So our thought here is that we can help you avoid some of the cost and hassle associated with maybe a second payment provider and physical payment terminals. These work in a similar way to requesting payment methods. So it's also taking you out of that loop and your client is entering details directly. Creating a QR code is really easy. It takes less than a minute. So what you're doing is you're navigating to online payments on the navigation, find new charge, and then click generate QR code. So from here, you've got a printable template, and I imagine that you might print this off. Perhaps you keep it behind your reception desk, and then you can pull this out when you want to capture a payment in person and you're not missing a beat. This QR code is actually active, so if you want to take a look at it, you can, and I'll give you a few seconds to do that if I see some phones go up. And it will take you to a demo site, which I will show on the next screen as well. So I'll just give you a second until I see some phones dropping down, and then we'll move on. Still a few phones over there. All right, moving on. So this is the view that your client will see when they interact with that QR code. And we've basically resized our payment form to work in the mobile environment. So I often find that if I'm using a browser where I've stored my address and my credit card, that the form filling here is pretty quick. And I think the point that I want to convey is if your client is used to making a purchase at their favorite retailer, then they're not going to have any trouble making a payment here in person. So that brings me to the last feature that I want to discuss today, and this is our newest addition, and this feature is really all about providing you some flexibility in how you're paying your payment processing fees. So our fee schedule originally, and it remains by default, Clio is taking its payment processing fees net of deposits that are landing in your bank account. And we find that this method optimizes for cash flow, and it helps you avoid a lump sum at the end of the month. And if that's been working for you, then that's fantastic, and there's no need to change. But with this feature enabled, now you can actually have your fees collected at the end of the month. So that means you can receive daily full deposits, and then Clio will tally up the amounts owed over the course of the month, and then take a single withdrawal at the end of the month. Of course, everything remains IOLTA compliant, so if you're taking trust deposits, then those fees are being taken out of your primary operating account. If that sounds good to you, then enrollment here is really easy. So you navigate to online settings, and then online payments, and then you're looking for the switch to monthly dialog box. You basically opt in here, and then you go through a micro deposit flow whereby Clio is just validating that we have access to withdraw from your bank account. Once that enrollment and validation is complete, then you're put into a queue and you're enrolled at the beginning of the month. So if you take some time this week to enroll, then you can expect that the transition would happen on November 1st, and then we would tally up fees and take a first withdrawal at the end of the month. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll pass it on to Betty, who's going to take us through our Outlook add-in.
Hi everyone, my name is Betty. I am a product manager here at Clio. Prior to joining the product organization, I was a data migration specialist at Clio as well, so it might have helped some of you here with your data migrations if you ever needed one. I then took my experience working directly with customers to help customers now on their email workflow. So that's what I've been working on, specifically the Clio's Outlook add-in, and we'll chat a little bit about that in the later slides. So our Outlook add-in launched back in earlier this year around April, and I'll be going through some of the questions that you might have regarding the new Outlook add-in, such as why did we decide to design a brand new Outlook add-in, what you can expect from the new filing experience, how you can capture more time more efficiently with the add-in, as well as how you can utilize the flexible settings to help stay really organized in your inbox. So we know that lawyers spend a significant part of their day in their email inbox, and appropriately managing your inbox is not only a requirement, but can also help you save a ton of time when done correctly with regards to saving time with the administrative tasks. So Clio's Outlook add-in is designed to do pretty much just that. It's a free integration with our Clio users, and again, helps file and organize your emails. And a really exciting update that we have is that previously the Outlook add-in is only available to business-level Microsoft subscription. We've now made that available to personal Microsoft accounts as well, so you can just go ahead and sign up for a free Microsoft account and start using that with your Clio account as well. So really encourage everyone here to really give it a try if you haven't already. So why did we decide to create a brand new Outlook add-in? So quite simply put, we know that the old version of the add-in was quite slow. We've heard feedback from customers who have had to wait 5-10 minutes before the spinner is done loading. And we realize that it's a huge pain point for a lot of our customers. So with that in mind, we decided to completely redesign the new Outlook add-in. And that's keeping that customer experience in mind for a smooth filing experience is what really ultimately drove us to create this new version of the add-in. So like I mentioned, it's completely built from scratch and redesigned to offer a 10 times faster filing speed. And so it's really designed to help you file emails in seconds, capture time in a single click, as well as helping you manage your inbox with our folder structuring. So yeah, the first feature that we're super excited about is the 10 times faster filing speed. So once you've installed and set up the new Outlook add-in, simply click on anything that you wanted to file, open and pin the Outlook add-in, specify which matter you would like to file it to, as demonstrated on the screen there, and you should be all good to go. All you have to do is click File Email, and you should be all good to go. And that email would pretty much be seen in your Manage account instantaneously. But we know that filing emails isn't that simple sometimes. Maybe there are a lot of attachments, or maybe it's a thread of email that you have to file. And so we want to offer a lot of flexibility to be able to give you the opportunity to customize that. So all emails and attachments are automatically selected for you when you are filing emails, but they can also be deselected. So let's say you have an email with a couple dozens of attachments, and you only really want to file 1 or 2 of those. We now offer a deselect all button for your emails as well as attachments, so you can go ahead and click that, deselect everything, and then only pick the ones that you would like to file. And another great feature we want to highlight here is also filing email on send. So sometimes you might be composing a response or an email, and you want to file it while it's still in the draft state. And you're able to do that with the new Outlook add-in. So just simply open up the email that is in draft, specify what matter you would like to file it to. And once that's done and you are ready to send that email will be filed on send. So now, instead of having to go to another page to create a time entry, we've made the time entry functionality a bit more space saving, and it can now be toggled on or off. So you're still able to track your activities right from your Outlook screen. And if you have any sort of default rates set up in Manage, those will automatically be reflected as well. So now that I've highlighted some of the features, I've also want to talk about a few new features that we've added to the new add-in previously not available, and that's the time entry template, matter folder structure, as well as the file to Clio tag. So the time entry template feature allows you to basically specify any information that you want inputted automatically every time you are filing a time entry from the Outlook add-in. So if you go to your Outlook add-in settings there, toggle on the time entry template feature, and then fill out the information you want to specify every time. So for example, who you're filing for, what is the duration, the activity category. And once you fill that out, every time entry moving forward will have that information filled out for you. So it's really great for having to, being able to save some time on the manual work. But let's say, you usually specify for 0.1 hours on your emails that you are sending. But maybe on a one-off, you want to change that to 0.3, 0.4, and that can easily be done directly in the text field as well. So again, offering a lot of flexibility. So the new Outlook add-in also has a folder structure that can be implemented into your email inbox to help you stay organized. The feature, again, can be turned on or off in your settings. And when an email is filed to a matter, the email will be moved to the folder structure that is automatically created for you. And the structure is organized by the matter status, and then the client name, as well as underneath that, the matters that they have with you. And the really great thing about this is, again, it's all automatically created for you when you toggle that feature on, so it's not going to be something that you have to create yourself. And finally, it's the file to Clio tag that is also a new feature in the new Outlook add-in. Essentially, it's a visual cue that allows you to be reminded what feature is, what email has been already filed, so you don't have to have the keep remembering what needs to be filed and keep that in the back of your head. It'll automatically just kind of tell you what that is. And so all the features that I talked about here today, they're all very flexible and customizable. So again, all the features, you are able to toggle them on or off. Let's say you're a big fan of the time entry templates, but you don't really want to implement the folder structure because you already have your own. You can always pick and choose what feature you want to turn off, what you want to turn off. So just a recap of what we talked about, the new Outlook add-in can help you file email faster than ever before, also help you capture time entry in a simple click, as well as helping you stay on top of your inbox with our intelligence settings. And you can find the new Outlook add-in by going into your Outlook there, locate the red Get Add-in button. Once that pops up, you can just type in Clio, or more specifically, Clio's Outlook add-in, and then you'll be able to find the add-in. It'll have a little install button. Click install, and you are all ready to go. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I will now pass it off to my wonderful colleague, Ani, here to talk about text messaging.
Thanks, Betty. Thanks everyone for coming to this room. I feel that this resort is just a maze. So hard to locate some rooms. But yeah, my name is Anirudh. My friends call me Ani. My enemies call me names I can't mention here. So yeah, we'll just, so I've been making tech products for about 6 years now. I started my career as a developer, so I really enjoy what I do. So let's get to it. So today we have a very small agenda. I'm just gonna tell you how people are using texting out there in the world, what are the benefits for law firms, and we'll just cover some workflows that tells you how law firms can use texting to save some time. So yeah, let's get to it. So if you're like me, you're probably not picking up the phone every time. You're texting more than others. But data does suggest that more people are texting today. Texting is basically the most preferred way of communication these days. 85% of smartphone users prefer text compared to a phone call or an email. Almost all Americans send one text a day. The average response time is phenomenal. That's 90 seconds. So in short, most clients are using texting in their day-to-day, and some of them may not use email, but they sure do text. So just a quick raise of hands, how many of you are already communicating with clients using text? That's quite a few, yeah. How many of you are not using Clio to do that? All right, so I've got a few people to convince, yeah, that's good. So yeah, I'm gonna spend a minute on this slide. We're gonna be talking about 5 main benefits that we see that texting brings to the table. So the first one is, of course, getting quick responses. Like the data suggests, you don't have to wait for email replies, 90 seconds. Even our internal data suggests in a few minutes, most clients do respond to your text message, so no waiting there. Second point, maintaining accurate records. All the communication that's happening, there are no overheads. All you need to do is, all the text communication is automatically getting tagged to the matter, the client, so nobody has gotta make sure that, all the communication is tracked. Third thing, no personal cell phones. So using personal cell phones for client communication's got privacy concerns, security concerns. There are communication that may be missed, which others in your firm may need to know. Plus, if you're a fan of work-life balance, maybe you want to save your number or from getting calls at odd hours. So yeah, sometimes that's something that can help with firm texting number. Fourth, capturing billable time. So it's very easy to capture billable time when you're texting right there in the modal, which we'll see in the pop-up, which we'll see shortly. You can just add your time. You don't have to worry about forgetting to log time while you're texting. And finally, there are lots of events that you need to send client reminders, and texting is the best way to do so. We've got automated workflows that help you do that. So basically, you could save time instead of picking up that phone, spending 15 minutes on a call with a client. You could just send a text in 15 seconds, and by using texting, you can save both time for yourself and your clients as well. All right, so we'll quickly get to the steps. To enable text messaging, basically make sure that you have the admin rights for the account and you're on a plan that's essentials and up. If you're not, we can hook you up at the level up desk below. And once that's done, the steps are actually pretty simple. All you need to do is go to settings, text messaging, and click on that big get started button. Next, you'll be taken to, you'll be shown a form that you need to fill. There's some basic information like firm details, website, address, contact person, and their details. Just below this form, there's a small section this section covers the alternate contact info for email, for event notifications. So just in case your clients have any questions or they want to reach out to someone, so you can put in an email or a phone number there. So that's it, you're all set. This is the screen that you'd see. You can see the firm number over there. You can also see the alternate contact info. You can enable event reminders there, plus also take a look at some of the templates that are going to be sent for the calendar events. And yeah, this is the control panel for texting. So sending a text, it's very intuitive, not rocket science. One of the places that people go to is to the communications menu. There's a button there, new button. You click that, open up, select text message, pop-up comes on screen, and Next, what you need to do is just search for an existing contact. Once you've done that, there's a nice little drop down that comes in. You select the contact, type in your message that you want to send, and just hit that send button. So as easy as that. You also have a nice little feedback form over there in case you have some enhancement suggestions. Tracking time is a breeze. While you're there, it's the best place to add time if you want to. So just click Actions, and in the drop-down you can add time or even view time entries. Another place, of course, is the data table, where, like other places, you can also add time here. And like I said before, all this communication is going to get stored automatically to the matter as well as to the contact, so you can reference it anytime. And the fun part, text messaging is also available on the mobile app. So even while you're on the go, you can reach out to your clients, reply to their messages, you can even receive files as well. And you can preview files on the go. So we support receiving MMS, and and all these files that you receive are directly saved into the Matter folder. There's under a new folder called Text Message Attachments. So it's all there. And that's all I had for you guys today. I'm gonna pass on the mic to Adrian, who's an expert in payments. Fun fact about Adrian, he loves adventure activities. I've heard a rumor that he once got pulled into a typhoon, but that's probably not true. So but I'll pass it on to Adrian. Thank you, guys.
Hello, folks. What better way to take the post-sleepiness from lunch and then to talk about accounting, right? Okay, so like Annie mentioned, my name is Adrian. I am the Group Product Manager for Financial Performance. Some of you may have heard me talk downstairs at the product lab where I spoke about trust accounting. Fun fact, or big surprise, talk about the same thing here. So I'll be going into a little more detail about trust accounting, how you could use it, and it's in early access right now, so it won't be available in the application. If you do want it enabled, do come down to the product lab, because we'd love to have you sign up for early access programs so we can get that feedback. All right, I'll be going over some trust fund basics, what the trust account requirements are, what is a three-way trust reconciliation, and then how can users actually perform one within Clio. All right, before I begin, show of hands, who here actually finds trust accounting maybe a little bit daunting, a little bit confusing, sort of pawn it off to your bookkeeper account at the end of the month? Yeah, some folks are able to do it themselves. I totally get that. So trust compliance, first and foremost, is a fiduciary duty to your client. Trust funds are always separate from your firm's operating account, and the bank account where trust funds are placed is in an IOLTA qualified bank within your state of practice. And lastly, every penny is regularly reconciled depending on the requirements of your bar association. Why use trust requests? Well, you're able to accept funds before performing services. You're able to protect both the lawyer's, yourself, and the client's interests. It's easy. Clio hopefully does most of the work for you. And we've seen firms see an increase in their realization rate and collection rate. To break that down a little bit, your realization rate is a measure of efficiency and calculates the amount of billable work you actually put onto the invoice that you send to a client minus your discounts. Your collection rate is how much of that billed work you actually get paid for. So with trust requests, we've seen firms see an 18% increase in their realization rate and a 15% increase in their collection rate. What are the requirements to actually use a trust account? Well, the regulatory requirements are that it has to be in a local bank within your state or jurisdiction. Depending on the bank, you might have to explain to them what exactly trust account is. And a specific type account labeled trust with some mandatory reporting duties. And when it comes to tracking, like I mentioned, every penny must be regularly reconciled. And now, what is three-way trust reconciliation? Well, it is the process of balancing the trust ledger, the client ledgers, and the trust account bank statement. Right now, we've heard from customers would have to either download a bank statement, combine that with their client trust liability report and the trust ledger report, and do that matching manually, which is a big pain for many folks. All right, enough talk about what exactly trust accounting is. Let's just jump straight into the product. So over in the bank account section of Clio Manage, you can find all your accounts there. You'll have all your trust accounts and all your operating accounts. With Clio, you're able to have more than one trust account, which is great for folks who might have a trust account per matter or per attorney. You want to locate the trust account that you actually want to begin reconciling with. And then you'll see a detailed list of all the funds in and funds out for that account, including the client and the matter. In the top right corner, you'll see the button saying Reconcile Account. When that pops up, you'll get a little pop-up here talking about the beginning and end balance of your bank account. The beginning balance has to be matching your bank statement, and in the beginning, Clio will be using this to make sure that we track everything correctly. If in the event that when you begin using this feature and your beginning balance on the bank statement does not match Clio, so the actual balance you have in the trust account within Clio, you'll need to compare your bank statement with your previous reconciliation period and just make sure that any unclear transactions are taken care of. But once it's taken care of, you can jump into the trust reconciliation feature. So over here, you're able to actually record the matching records between your trust ledger and your trust banking records for full reconciliation. Additionally, with trust reconciliation, Clio offers a number of features, such as a client trust ledger report, the Clio payments reports, and the trust reconciliation report. You'll also be able to access all your past reconciliations. You're able to give them to your accountant when it comes to tax season or monthly auditing. So with trust reconciliation in Clio, you're able to save time on regular reconciliations, deliver compliance by eliminating some of those manual errors today, hopefully gives greater visibility to a firm in terms of their financials, then we're connected in one place. And again, if you're interested in trialing this out and getting into the early access, definitely come by the product lab where me or my team can get you enrolled. All right, and I'll pass off the slide to speak about some Grow enhancements.
Thank you, Adrian. I brought my computer because we're going to run some polls. My name is Sai, and I have been the product manager since earlier part of this year, which is the time that we spun up a new team on Grow. So I'm curious, not all managed customers are Grow customers. How many of you are Grow users right now in the room? Oh my God, wow, almost everyone. How many of you use other intake programs? One, wow, okay, two. Cool. Well, great to meet you. As a product manager, it's kind of a PM's dream to be in a place, in a setting like ClioCon, because I love to be in the trenches with our users to understand how you guys are using Grow, what are the features that you're looking for, what are the fixes that you're looking for. So we're also going to learn a little bit about each other's workflows by using these polls. Well, there's a little bit of delay, I guess. Okay. So QR code didn't work swimmingly before, but I'm hoping that this is a little bit bigger. But if you're struggling with the QR code, you can go to the slido.com and input that PIN number. I will bring this up again, so you don't have to memorize it all now. So we have released a bunch of features since the beginning of the year, and we are only getting started. We understand that customers are looking for more automation features, more managed integration items, and our roadmap is all packed with that. But I'm also going to walk you through some of the key pillars of the features that we released and all the user interviews and insights behind them. So the first piece is gathering client information, and the nugget here is to be able to let the client do the data gathering for you so that you can practice your law instead of just doing repetitive tasks. And also when you're integrating with Manage, you want to gain the visibility into what gets exported to Manage and enabling custom fields to kind of optimize your workflows. And the second piece is going to be around automation. As I mentioned, we have more items coming in automation, and currently we have two features that we released that are really excited about, and I'm going to let you know on those. One of them is Grow Web Pages. You may have seen Jack talk about it already. We're all really pumped. And automated reminders. And the third piece is being able to focus on the matters that actually matter to you, whether this is understanding which ones are the higher value, which release source they're coming from, sort by date creation, etc. I'm going to show all of that in a second. So the first question is, what intake channels does your firm currently use? Just want to confirm that you are able to see the poll, correct? Awesome. And I think you may be able to see the live results. Oh, wow, it's coming in. 74 people. Perfect. Incoming phone calls is as a leader. Email inquiries. Yeah, referrals I hear a lot. Online intake forms. Yeah. I mean, unsurprising. Well, aligning with this, online intake form seems to be what? The third by 50%. So we heard from customers that they want to be able to sync more of the custom fields into online intake forms so that you're just resting and not collecting information and then letting the clients do the data gathering for you. So we're expanding upon the type of custom fields that sync, and now you'll be able to sync dropdown and checkbox custom fields as well, only to improve in the future. But if you haven't synced your custom fields to intake forms, this is one of the ways that people get thrilled by how much time they can save. And our estimations suggest that around two hours per week you can save simply by using intake forms and then linking them with custom fields. Another piece is, it used to be that custom fields wouldn't get exported into Manage over second and third export. So if you're a legal practitioner that keeps exporting the same matter over and over again for whatever the reason, you'll be able to turn on this ability. I actually meet a lot of customers who haven't turned it on yet, so you can do it in the settings. I can see some nods already. You can do it in the settings in the integration piece. You'll be able to export custom fields going forward. And while you do that, you can also compare the content in Grow to content in Manage if there is any difference, so that you can actually see if you're overriding the information accurately. And more on the Manage integration will come soon. I won't go into too much detail, but we're going towards a world where there will be even fewer and fewer steps for you to keep up both platforms up to date. And the third one is duplicate check. I discovered, talking to a lot of users, that Jen could be Jenny this time, Jennifer the next time. First names and last names can be very convoluted to kind of see if this contact already exists in your database. That's why you will now be able to simply enter the email address and phone number, which seems to be more of a unique identifier, actually, so that you can locate this contact and avoid duplicates from being created altogether. I think the GIF worked, right? Yeah, so you can see me here, they're typing the email address and then returning the result. Okay, next question. Then I have to update the poll first. Yeah, I think you should be seeing the next question. Do you have a website that automatically routes leads to your intake program? It's quite cool, actually. It's the first time I'm running something like this. Have a website not automatically routing. Not surprised. Have a website routes to Clio Grow. Okay. 90 people. Well, you're not alone if you don't have a website or don't have a website that does not route leads to your Clio Grow account. Fascinating, the 53% of solo attorneys in the US don't have a website at all. And among the ones that do, not all of them have automatic linkage to their intake program. And to address the seemingly massive gap, we released something that we're all super excited about, which we call Grow Web Pages, Grow Websites. You'll be able to see it in this GIF. Basically, you go to your settings. Even if you do have a current website, you can and you want to maybe create more automation around your website and create leads, generate leads that will go to your Grow inbox. You can set up a website under 30 minutes, under 10 minutes even, depending on how much content you want it to include. By just simply putting some information about your law firm, what you do, and enabling some customization such as, yes, I want to have a contact form there. I want to input my scheduler link so that people can schedule free or paid consultations with me. All this is done without having to rely on a third-party vendor or even paying additional. So this is going to be covered in your Grow subscription, and no longer have to rely on a third-party vendor or your niece or nephew to build and maintain a software for you, essentially. I know it's very common. I've been asked before. You can also add a direct payment link right on the website to accept payments from your clients. I'm super excited about it, and we already got some great feedback. I'll be at the product lab most of the time. So if you want to see a live demo, either come to me, any of my colleagues, or any of the Customer Success Center folks. The second piece was automated appointment reminders. We know users are struggling with no-shows. If you're doing free consultations, I see a lot of nods. Do you agree that no-shows is an issue for free consultations? Maybe hands up. Yeah, at least 10 people, for maybe 20. So to address that, you're able to now customize up to 5 automated reminders. It used to be that you could send one reminder and you always had to set it up ahead of time, but now you can just go to your settings. I know around 1,000 customers already enabled it, but that leaves a lot more other customers who haven't, mostly because sometimes it falls through the cracks and you might not know. So go to your settings, appointments, and then you'll be able to draft these reminders, and then you can obviously customize what goes into the reminder body. Okay, and third and the last question is, let me just activate that. Oftentimes, a lot of people have a lot of leads in their pipeline, and it gets a little bit overwhelming. You don't know which one is a valuable lead, which one is not. So this is about the number of leads that you have in your intake pipeline at any given moment. So this is specifically mentioning, intake. Let's see, 6 to 19. Interesting. Yeah, 50 plus is 10%. I mean, larger the firm, obviously larger the amount of leads they have. So to be able to help with this, I think most of you must have used it. I think thousands and thousands of customers already use this. We released the ability to filter and sort matters in the pipeline. So what this allows you to do is, you can filter by matter type if you're managing your firm across multiple staff or verticals or practice areas, or you could filter them by assigned attorney. Or lead source, and I see that actually lead source is quite popular based on our internal metrics. It speaks to the understanding that people just want to kind of understand the return on investment on what kind of lead source they invest in. They want to see reap the benefits essentially. So we see if you went to a booth event yesterday and you just want to kind of filter by those specific leads so that you want to engage them, you can filter by lead source or matter value because you want to focus on the ones that are higher in value. And the last one is sorting, that was actually most popular than any other filters because I see people are using it to sort from the oldest to newest because they want to see what matters have been in the pipeline for a long time and I haven't done anything. Maybe I need to send them an engagement letter, or maybe I need to follow up to see if they're actually interested in my service. So those are the ways that we see people using filters and sorting. And the last piece I want to mention, you may have already seen it. I use it, one-click navigation between grow and manage. We're going towards a future where this won't even be as needed as much, but essentially not only from the main pipeline page on the top left, but you can also locate a matter that has been converted before, and then locate to see if you can see this matter in manage in one click as well. So by gathering information more effectively and automating your intake cycles and tracking your matters and focusing on the ones that matter, we aspire to create a world where all the Clio Grow users are as happy as this person who I think answered one of our surveys in application. I'm pretty sure most of you got those. I know they can be annoying sometimes, but I read every single one of those. She mentioned Clio Grow has streamlined and automated so much of their intake process that it saves them hours, and they haven't even explored the full functionality yet. So I'm looking forward to learning from you as much as you are here to learn about Clio. So please come find me at Product Lab, and I want to talk a little bit about managed integration automation items. And there's more presentation. I'm delivering a best practices of client intake at 3:20, and that's going to be about summarizing maybe 50 to 60 customer interviews I've done and the patterns that I'm seeing across the most successful law firms in terms of how they do intake, and then how they convert up to 30% more business for themselves simply because they actually adopted some of the features that Grow already offers, or but they didn't know before, for instance, or simply saving time. So I'm going to be there at 3:20, and next up will be Taylor talking about reporting.
Hi there, everyone. I'm going to be taking us through some reporting enhancements. My name is Taylor DiGiulio. I'm a customer success manager here at Clio, and in my role, I essentially act as an advocate for our customers to help them best use Clio. So as a quick agenda of what I'm going to be talking about here during this segment of the presentation, I'm firstly going to be talking about why your reporting matters, and I'm going to be taking us through some report generation improvements. As well, I'm also going to be talking about the newly added functionality to track discounts through the revenue report. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about why you should care about reporting, and I hope to answer the question, how does your firm benefit from being data-driven? So essentially, when we're looking at data-driven firms, we've seen three main pillars. So firstly, data-driven firms make better decisions, and this is ultimately going to allow the firm to better direct their resources. Now, secondly, data-driven firms understand their performance. We know that there's huge value in understanding if the performance within the firm is improving, declining, or staying stagnant. This is going to allow you to make meaningful change that's actually going to make a difference. And finally, we know that data-driven firms are process-oriented, and process-oriented firms are efficient, and efficient firms make for a better utilization of their team. Now, I wanted to share a quote here from our lawyer in residence at Clio here, Joshua Lennon. So he states, with better, more convenient access to information, lawyers can ultimately see more of what goes on at their firm with significantly better precision and granularity. And with that, firms that place an emphasis on their reporting and their analytics are better prepared and ultimately more set up for success. So firstly, we know that data analysis requires uninterrupted time. And with that, we know that for everyone in the room here being a busy legal professional, we know that your role requires you to switch multitask switch contacts throughout your day and multitask. So what that can mean in the context of someone who's doing their reporting is you get your coffee in the morning, you're starting your day at your desk, you start pulling up some reports that you need, and you get pulled away to do something else. You might have closed down your internet browser, and by the time you get back to your desk, you're like, oh shoot, I need to go through and do that all again. So to help out with that, Clio has newly introduced the report history tab. So if you, let me go back here. If you are working on your main reports page over on the left side of the screen, you should now notice a history tab up towards the top of your screen. So what the report history tab is going to do is essentially whenever you generate a new report in Clio Manage, that report will now live on the report history tab. And those reports that you generate are going to stay on the report history tab for 6 months. Now, moving along here, we know that different data is relevant at different times, and it's important to find the right data to address your specific business questions. And what that means is that you need to get specific on the insights that you're looking for, find the relevant data to address those questions, and then segment it to get to answer to your question ultimately. So as an example, perhaps we're working with a law firm and maybe they've newly implemented a practice of family law within that specific firm. That firm is likely interested in gathering revenue data. However, they likely want to filter that down by practice area. So sometimes we know that finding the appropriate settings or remembering the right filters can be frustrating. So to help with this, we've newly introduced report presets. So now when you're working, my GIFs don't seem to be working. So now when you're working within your Clio Manage account, what you should notice is the new ability to, when you go in and you're actually saving the reports that you're generating, you're going to be able to save them as a preset. And what that's going to do is it's going to save all of those commonly used filters that you're using when you're applying and creating that report, and save them so you don't need to be plugging in all your filters every single time that you're generating your reports. So those reports, like I mentioned, they're going to live on their own separate presets table. You'll notice a generate button to the left side of the preset where you can just single click the button, and that's going to pull up the report for you right away. Moving along here, we know that monitoring data requires consistency and that it's very important to look at data across time. Reason being for this is that you're going to have more confidence in the insights that you're getting because you've taken a larger sample size and you've given yourself the time to identify trends in your data. What this means for firms is that you're going to need to monitor data regularly, and the insights that you might need can change depending on time. That could be time of day, week, month, and for some of the firms that we work with, we know that this requires maintaining an internal schedule of what reports you need to generate. So as a Clio Cloud Conference exclusive, I am announcing the rollout of Clio report scheduling that's going to be launching into the product in a couple of weeks here. I am just going to call out what you're seeing on the screen here right now is a mock-up, so it might not quite be the final design, but should be pretty close to it ultimately gets rolled out into the product here. So what you're going to have the ability to do is once you've created a preset, you're going to have the ability and go in and add a schedule to that particular preset. So what that's going to look like is you can identify the day, week, or month that you want that particular preset delivered. You can identify the specific day that you like that to be received. And you can identify the start time that you would like that to be queued for. So that's essentially just going to allow you to set it and forget it. And if you are looking at your presets table, you're going to be able to very easily filter through and see which of your presets have been scheduled. So you're going to be able to easily go in there and filter that down so you can segment which presets have a schedule and which ones don't. So I wanted to share the quote you're seeing on the screen right now. It states, "I let my attorneys give out discounts because I want them to have autonomy and it helps us stay competitive, but I don't want to lose revenue." This is a sentiment that we hear from a lot of the firms that we talk with. So we know that discounting is good, it helps our customers, it helps us stay competitive, but we don't want discounting to get us in a position where we're losing sight of our revenue and our growth goals. So with that, on our revenue report, you should now newly see two new columns. So you should see discounted time as well as discounted expenses. This is something that can be filtered down so you can look at it by user, client, or by practice area. I'm now going to pass the presentation back over to Devin for some final thoughts.
That was awesome. So thanks to all of our speakers. Can we just get a quick round of applause for everybody? That was awesome. Great job, team. All right, so I'll do a quick recap. That was a lot of material that we covered. And so actually, if you feel the need to let out a little cheer about something you're excited about, feel free to do that. So we started with payments improvements, get paid faster and better than before. We looked at Clio's all new and improved, redesigned Clio Outlook add-in. We have a all new text messaging feature. We looked at how to do three-way trust account reconciliation. You can set up lead generation, automate your intake, and track the matters that really matter with the improvements to grow. And then finally, some reporting enhancements that'll help you get paid faster and better. So which feature are you most excited to implement? Now, if you have any other questions or you want to come get some hands-on experience, you can come see us down at the product lab. We'll be happy to show you some of this stuff. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time and your attention.